Well, welcome to the Behavior Code, the podcast that deciphers the hidden patterns in our lives. I'm your host, Maria.
And I'm Gabriel. And today we are tackling something that is, well, it's pretty raw.
It really is. We're talking about that confusing, sometimes painful, and honestly, sometimes validating phenomenon of people who leave your life and then come back.
Right. And specifically, we're digging into the why. Because, let's be honest, it's not always for the romantic movie script reasons we might imagine.
No, not at all. Today, we're exploring the uncomfortable truth. People often come back when they realize they can't replace you.
There it is. It's not that they missed you so much as they missed what you provided. Because they went out there and found out it was unique. They failed to find a substitute.
Exactly. It's this powerful and kind of brutal concept of irreplaceability. And we're going to break down the entire psychological journey today, from the moment they leave to the moment they show back up on your doorstep.
It's going to be a deep dive. Let's get into it.
Okay, Gabe, so to really get this, we have to start at the beginning. Before someone can come back, they have to leave. So what is happening in their mind, in their life, that makes walking away from a good, stable connection seem like a viable option? It's not always a dramatic blow-up. Often it's a quiet internal calculation.
It's a complex question because everyone's situation is different, but you can usually trace it back to a few core psychological drivers. And I think the biggest, the one that fuels so many of these departures, is ego.
Ego. Okay, unpack that for me. How does ego push someone out the door?
It's the grass is always greener syndrome. It's an internal narrative, a story they tell themselves that goes something like, I'm meant for more, I could do better. This relationship, this person, as good as they are, they're holding me back from my ultimate potential. It's a deeply self-centered worldview.
Yeah, so it's not even about a specific flaw in their partner. It's about this imagined, idealized future where another person will somehow unlock a better version of themselves.
Precisely. And that ties directly into the second driver, which is the hunt for novelty.
The shiny new toy effect, the excitement of the unknown.
Totally. Our brains are hardwired to respond to novelty. New person, a new dynamic. It triggers a rush of dopamine. It feels exciting, passionate, alive. And in contrast, the comfort, stability, and predictability of a long-term connection can start to feel, well, boring.
Right, so they're not necessarily leaving you as a person. They're leaving the comfort to chase a chemical high.
They're chasing a feeling. And the third piece of this puzzle, which I think is huge, is avoidance.
Avoidance of what specifically?
Of the hard stuff, of conflict, of true, deep intimacy, which requires vulnerability, and most of all, avoidance of their own issues. Committed relationship is a mirror. It shows you your flaws, your insecurities, your pattern. And instead of looking in that mirror and doing the work, it's so much easier to just run, to leave. Starting fresh with someone new feels like a clean slate, a way to escape yourself.
So, can you give us a real-world example of what that kind of avoidance looks like? It sounds subtle.
Absolutely. It's often very subtle. Think about someone who consistently struggles with insecurity. In a loving relationship, their partner will offer reassurance, but they'll also gently challenge those insecurities because they want to see them grow. That process is uncomfortable. It's real work. The avoidant path is to leave that partner and find someone new who doesn't know them as well. The new person isn't aware of those deep insecurities, so they don't challenge them. They only see the surface. For a little while, the insecure person feels free from that mirror. They feel unseen in a way that feels like relief. But it's a false relief. They haven't fixed the insecurity. They've just ran from the person who was lovingly trying to help them heal it. They've traded authentic connection for comfortable ignorance. Precisely, so you put it all together. A big ego telling you deserve more, a brain craving the novelty of something new, and a deep-seated fear of doing the actual work. That's the potent cocktail that convinces someone to walk away from something genuinely good.
That's a powerful example of avoidance. Now, what about the ego? Can you walk us through how that looks in a real-life scenario? Because it feels less tangible than just avoiding conflict. Okay, so that makes a lot of sense. They leave fueled by this potent mix. They're not just sitting in a quiet room though. Their next move is usually to, well, fill the space you left behind.
Of course, imagine a man who is moderately successful in his career, but he's always dreamed of being a high flying entrepreneur. He's in a relationship with a woman who is supportive, loving, and financially responsible. She grounds him. But his ego starts to whisper to him. He sees friends on social media closing big deals, living flashy lives, and his ego says, that should be you. You're playing it too safe. This comfortable life, this stable relationship, it's a cage. So he starts to view her stability not as a blessing, but as a limitation. He manufactures a reason to leave, telling himself he needs to be free to take risks and build his empire. He leaves a wonderful, supportive partner not because of who she is, but because his ego has convinced him she's an obstacle to the grandiose version of himself he feels entitled to become. He's chasing a fantasy of status and sacrificing a reality of love to do it. Oh, almost immediately. And this is where we get into what I call the replacement illusion.
The replacement illusion. I like that. What is it?
It's a powerful cognitive bias. It's the belief that the deep, complex, nuanced connection they had with you can be easily replicated or even upgraded, like swapping out a component in a computer.
The plug and play theory of human relationships.
Exactly. It's a massive, massive oversimplification of what it means to connect with someone. They tend to focus on superficial traits. They think, okay, I'll find someone who also loves to travel and watch documentaries, but who is neater.
Right, they make a checklist based on the few things that annoyed them, assuming all the good stuff, the loyalty, the support, the shared humor, is just standard equipment that comes with any model.
You absolutely nailed it. They take for granted the invisible architecture of the relationship, the way you knew what they were thinking from just a glance, the way you could calm their anxiety with a single sentence, the thousands of inside jokes. That stuff, that isn't on any checklist.
It's the emotional infrastructure. You can't just build that overnight with a stranger.
Emotional infrastructure, that's brilliant. And they think they can. They think they can just find a new contractor and build the exact same home, only better. So they're not really looking for a new person in all their complexity. They're looking for an avatar to fill a role, an NPC in their own life story.
And I imagine in the beginning of their search, it seems like it's working. The novelty is high, the new person is putting their best foot forward.
Oh, absolutely. The first few weeks, maybe even months, the replacement illusion is going strong. It confirms their bias. See, I knew it. This is so much easier, so much better. They're high on that novelty we talked about, and it validates their decision to leave. But it's a house of cards and the wind is coming.
Okay, so they're off in their shiny new situation, convinced they've made the right call. But what's happening in their subconscious? How does your complete absence start to work on them?
That's a fantastic question, Maria, because it goes beyond individual brain chemistry and even cultural software. We live in a swipe left, swipe right culture. Dating apps, social media, highlight reels of other people's perfect relationships, they have all contributed to what I'd call a paradox of choice in relationships. There's this pervasive, toxic illusion of infinite options. If one person has a flaw, or if the relationship hits a boring patch, the culturally conditioned response isn't to work on it, it's to go back to the App Store and download a new one. It's a gamified approach to human connection that devalues loyalty and endurance and massively overvalues the cheap thrill of novelty. The culture actively encourages the replacement illusion because it keeps people on the hedonic treadmill of consumption, but applied to human hearts.
Before we move on, can we linger on that for a second? Why is that illusion so potent? Is it just the dopamine hit from novelty, or is there something deeper, something about our modern culture that feeds this idea that people are replaceable?
This is where one of the most fundamental principles of psychology and even economics kicks in: the scarcity effect. That's a fantastic question, Maria, because it goes beyond individual brain chemistry and even cultural software. We live in a swipe left, swipe right culture. Dating apps, social media, highlight reels of other people's perfect relationships, they have all contributed to what I'd call a paradox of choice in relationships. There's this pervasive, toxic illusion of infinite options. If one person has a flaw, or if the relationship hits a boring patch, the culturally conditioned response isn't to work on it, it's to go back to the App Store and download a new one. It's a gamified approach to human connection that devalues loyalty and endurance and massively overvalues the cheap thrill of novelty. The culture actively encourages the replacement illusion because it keeps people on the hedonic treadmill of consumption, but applied to human hearts.
Right, simple supply and demand. Things automatically become more valuable when they are less available.
Exactly. When you were in their life, you were a constant, you were accessible, predictable. Your love, your support, your unique perspective. It was just part of their daily landscape. And like the tree you pass by on your way to work every day, they stopped really seeing it
Taken for granted, the classic story.
completely. But now you're gone. There's a void. That resource, your energy, your humor, your way of being, is no longer available on demand, and suddenly its value in their mind begins to skyrocket.
It's that old Joni Mitchell line, right? You don't know what you've got till it's gone. They don't realize what the silence sounds like until the music finally stops.
Perfect analogy. And they start to feel that absence in small, sharp moments at first. They get a big promotion at work, and their first instinctual impulse is to call you. But then they remember they can't. Or they have a devastatingly bad day, and they crave the very specific kind of comfort that only you knew how to provide.
And the new person, the replacement, they try, but they just can't provide it in the same way.
Not even close, because that comfort wasn't just a generic hug or some cliche platitude. It was your hug. It was the specific words you used. It was the fact that you knew when to talk and when to just be silent. The scarcity of you forces them to confront the fact that you weren't a replaceable commodity. You were a one-of-a-kind original work of art.
And that vacuum, that absence, it becomes a spotlight, finally illuminating what was there the whole time.
And it's not just that they're confronting your absence, they're also interacting with a glorified memory of you. Our brains have a fascinating defense mechanism called rosy retrospection. We tend to remember past events more fondly than they actually were. All the little daily annoyances, the minor conflicts, the bad days, they fade away. What's left is a highly curated highlight reel of the good times. So the scarcity of your presence is combined with a psychological tendency to romanticize the past, creating this powerful, idealized version of you in their mind that no real person could ever compete with. It does. And that spotlight leads directly to the next phase, which is, frankly, it's brutal. It's the emotional withdrawal phase.
Withdrawal. That sounds chemical, like coming off a drug.
It is, in a very real neurological sense. A long-term intimate relationship creates incredibly deep pathways in our brains. You are literally addicted to each other's presence, to the regular hits of oxytocin, vasopressin, the whole cocktail of chemicals that make us feel safe, bonded, and regulated.
Wow. So when they choose to leave, they're not just walking away from a person, they are actively cutting off their own drug supply.
Yes, and at first, the novelty of the new situation or person can mask those withdrawal symptoms. It's like using a different, much weaker drug to try and stave off the crash. But it doesn't work for long. The body, the brain knows the difference.
So, what does that withdrawal actually look like for them? What are they feeling day to day?
It's a storm, a low-grade, persistent storm of wrongness. It's a deep restlessness, a gnawing anxiety that something is fundamentally off. They might be more irritable, have trouble focusing, struggle with sleep. The world can literally seem less colorful, less vibrant. It also manifests in their decision-making. They might become more impulsive or, conversely, paralyzed by indecision. This is because their emotional regulator, which was you, is gone. You were the person they bounced ideas off of, the one whose perspective gave them clarity. Without that sounding board, they're lost in the echo chamber of their own anxious thoughts. Their confidence plummets because their main source of validation and support has been amputated.
It sounds like phantom limb syndrome for the soul. They keep reaching for something that's no longer there.
That's the perfect description. Their brain is still running the old software. They'll find themselves subconsciously starting to text you, or they'll go to your grocery store and feel this sudden, crushing wave of emptiness. They'll hear a song you both liked and it'll just floor them.
It's their brain's internal alarm system screaming at them. Warning, a vital component of our emotional regulation system is missing.
It is, and this withdrawal phase is often when you'll see them start testing the waters. A tentative like on a 6-month-old Instagram photo. A random, meaningless text. They're jonesing. They're looking for a tiny hit of that connection just to ease the pain.
Just to see if the dealer is still on the corner.
Exactly. Just to feel that spark of familiarity in a world that now feels cold and strange without you in it.
Okay, so they're in withdrawal. The scarcity of you is hitting them hard. The person they tried to replace you is, well, not you. So what does that do to their new relationship?
Well, this is when the cracks in that replacement illusion we talked about, they stop being cracks and they start becoming gaping chasms. And this is all driven by one relentless and destructive mental process: comparison.
The comparison game. A game where literally no one ever wins.
Especially not the new person. Because here's the kicker: they aren't being compared to the real, day-to-day you with your flaws and your bad moods. Oh no, they're being compared to a new, idealized, romanticized version of you. A version that has been amplified and perfected by absence and nostalgia.
The greatest hits version of you.
The Grammy Award-winning box set version of you. So the new person tells a joke, and it doesn't quite land, and the immediate, involuntary thought in their head is, Maria would have died laughing at that. She got my sense of humor.
Right. Or they're stressed about work, and the new person offers some generic, like, you should do this advice. And the immediate thought is, Gabriel wouldn't have tried to fix it. He would have just listened. He knew I just needed to vent.
It's death by 1,000 paper cuts for the new relationship. Every single interaction becomes another data point in a growing mountain of evidence that all proves the same thesis. This isn't the same. This isn't right. This isn't you.
So, ironically, the very presence of the new person just becomes a constant, painful reminder of your absence.
It highlights it. Even the new person's strengths get twisted into weaknesses through the warped lens of comparison. Maybe the new person is incredibly spontaneous, but it just feels chaotic and stressful compared to your calming stability.
So, it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. They sabotage the new relationship with their comparisons, and then use the failure of that relationship as justification for why they need to go back to the old one. It's a closed loop of their own making.
And this constant comparison is also incredibly unfair and destructive to the new person. It makes true connection impossible. The lever is essentially bringing a ghost into the new relationship, and the new partner is forced to compete with this idealized phantom. They can feel that they're not being seen for who they are, that they're constantly being measured against an invisible yardstick. This creates resentment, insecurity, and conflict, which of course only serves to further prove to the lever that this new relationship is inferior to the one they lost, a painful, living monument to what they lost. They didn't just replace a person, they lost an entire ecosystem of understanding. And they're realizing with dawning horror that it's impossible to replicate.
And that horror, I have to assume, builds and builds until it hits some kind of breaking point?
It does. This constant, exhausting process of comparison can't go on forever. It leads to a breaking point, a moment of terrible clarity.
Is it a moment of clarity, or is it a moment of pure panic?
I think it's both. It's the moment the replacement illusion doesn't just crack, it absolutely shatters into a million pieces. It's no longer a nagging suspicion. It becomes a cold, hard, undeniable fact in the front of their mind. I have a catastrophic mistake. No one is like them.
What triggers that usually? Is it one big dramatic event?
It can be. It could be a major life event, a family crisis, a big personal failure, or even a huge success where they feel your absence so viscerally it's like a physical blow. They realize the new person just can't show up for them in the way they desperately need. The way you would have, without even thinking about it.
Yeah, when the stakes get really high, the differences become impossible to ignore.
Exactly. But honestly, Maria, I think more often it isn't one big thing. It's the culmination of 1,000 tiny things. It's the one slightly off key and sensitive comment from the new person that happens to be the one that finally breaks the dam. It's the one morning they wake up next to this person and the feeling of, this isn't my home, this isn't my person, is so overwhelming they feel like they're going to suffocate.
The straw that breaks the camel's back.
It is, and the emotional cocktail at this breaking point it's just profound. It's gut-wrenching regret, it's sheer panic about the future, and it's this sudden crushing understanding of the precious, unique thing they so casually threw away. The you they took for granted is now seen as this priceless, irreplaceable treasure. It's a moment where their ego's fantasy of a better future collides violently with the reality of a worse present. And in that collision, the only thing that makes sense to them is retreat, to go back to the last place they remember feeling truly safe, truly understood.
And this, right here, this is when their behavior towards you probably starts to change dramatically.
Oh, 100%. The switch flips. Those tentative, water-testing likes and texts, they become more frequent, more desperate. The casual, hey, how are you texts turn into long, rambling paragraphs about memories they have of you two. They start engineering accidental run-ins. The hunt for a replacement is officially over. The new mission is recovery.
So they've hit the breaking point. Mission recovery is a go. But beyond just realizing you're irreplaceable, what are the core psychological drivers that actually push them to come back and try to re-engage?
Yeah, there are a few really powerful forces that converge here. The first, and probably the most potent, is loneliness.
But wait, they might not even be physically alone at this point. They could still be with the new person.
And that is the absolute key to understanding this. It's not about being physically alone. It is a deep, soul-crushing loneliness. It's the feeling of being fundamentally and completely misunderstood. They can be in a crowded room, lying in bed next to someone, and feel more alone than they have ever felt in their life, because that person doesn't see them, not the way you did.
The loneliness of an incompatible connection. It's a special kind of hell.
It really is. The second driver, which is tied to this, is regret. And regret is an acid. It eats away at you. The what-ifs become a constant loop in their mind. What if I had just communicated better? What if I had appreciated what I had? It's not just missing you anymore. It's being actively tormented by their own flawed judgment.
And I'm guessing that connects back to what you said at the very beginning about ego, and that regret must be amplified by the knowledge that it was a completely self-inflicted wound. It's not like a tragedy that happened to them. It's the direct consequence of a choice they made. That has to add a whole other layer of torment.
It comes full circle. This whole experience precipitates an ego collapse. Their ego was the thing that told them, you can do better. There are endless options out there. And the harsh reality of their experience has proven their ego to be catastrophically, humiliatingly wrong. And for a person driven by ego, the only way to repair that shattered self-image is to undo the mistake, to win you back, to prove to themselves that they can fix what they broke.
So coming back isn't just about getting you back. It's about them salvaging their own self-perception.
In so many cases, yes, it's about silencing the deafening sound of their own failure. So you get that trifecta, a deep loneliness, a corrosive regret, and a collapsed ego. That is a combination that sends them knocking on your door again.
Which leads us to the million-dollar question. They're at the door, they're knocking, they're saying all the things you once dreamed of hearing. I was wrong, I made a mistake, you're the only one for me. Do you let them in? Should you take them back?
Man, this is, without a doubt, the hardest part of the entire equation, because it feels so incredibly validating. Everything we've just spent the last half hour talking about, their painful journey to realizing you're irreplaceable, it feels like a victory. It feels good.
It does. It's external proof of your value. But this is the moment for a psychological reality check, a moment of brutal honesty with yourself.
You have to step back from the intoxicating feeling of being wanted again and ask one single critical question.
Which is,
Have they actually changed, or have only their circumstances changed?
oof, yeah, that's it right there. That is everything.
Think about it. Did they come back because they spent their time away doing deep introspective work? Did they go to therapy? Did they read books? Did they finally confront their ego, their avoidance patterns, their addiction to novelty? Did they figure out the root cause of why they sabotage good things in their life?
Or did they just come back because their new plan didn't work out and they're lonely and you feel familiar and safe?
Exactly. Because if it's the latter, you're not a cherished partner they can't live without. You are a default setting. You are a comfortable safety net. You're a convenient way to soothe their loneliness until the next wave of their unresolved issues kicks up again.
You're just a patch for their problems, and the fundamental reasons they left in the first place are almost certainly still there, dormant, just waiting for the comfort and stability to set in again before they flare up.
They are. You have to look for tangible evidence of change, not just emotional, regretful words. Because taking them back without that proof, you're simply agreeing to star in the sequel to a movie you've already seen.
And you already know exactly how it ends. So, how do you differentiate? How can you tell if they've genuinely changed versus just having their circumstances change? What are the practical signs to look for beyond their words?
So, as we wrap up, what's the ultimate takeaway from this whole painful cycle?
I think it's about shifting your focus entirely. The whole drama of them leaving and coming back, it feels like it's about you, but it's really about them. The most important lesson isn't in their return, it's in what you build for yourself during their absence.
It's about self worth versus what you could call emotional recycling. Do you value yourself enough to only accept the relationship of someone who recognized your worth from the beginning? Or are you willing to be recycled back into a dynamic that has already proven to be broken?
That's such a powerful way to frame it. Your worth is not proven when they come back. Your worth was there all along. Their return is just a delayed and often very self-serving acknowledgement of a fact that you should already hold as the foundation of your entire life.
That's the core of it all. The validation from their return is fleeting, but the self worth you build in their absence is permanent. That's the real prize. That's the happy ending to the story, whether they come back or not.
So, the ultimate act of being irreplaceable is to build a life where you are your own primary source of validation, love, and security. To become your own home, so that no one else's departure can ever leave you homeless. And on that note, that's all the time we have for this episode of The Behavior Code.
Thanks for tuning in and doing the work with us. We'll catch you next time.